Hello, everyone. Anin Buju Nikijnaga Jay Simpson. My name is Jay Simpson, and I am your host for today. Auntie laughed, so it's funny. I would first like to say thank you for coming out to Word Vancouver. This is very exciting. I am the Indigenous curator for this festival today. Um, and I'm very excited. Right now, I just want to say that we have our books available online for sale at Iron Dog Books, but then also to purchase from Iron Dog Books, as they are our official sponsor and bookseller for Word. Um, Also, we have a silent auction online that will support the festival at wordvancouver.com. I would first like to also acknowledge that I am coming today, and many of us of Ward Vancouver are on the unceded territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. Unceded means stolen, and therefore never passed the right to live and exist on these territories. And very specifically, I want to acknowledge that the neighborhood that the Word Vancouver Festival is taking place on specifically is in the downtown east side with relations to the villages of Squatcheyes and Lekleki. And that as participants attending this festival, we have to be cognizant, aware, and also respectful of our presence here. I would also like to thank some sponsors. I thanked 6 sponsors last event, and I'm going to thank 6 today again. And then at my later event, I'm going to thank another 6. I would first like to give a special thanks to SFU and the Writer's Studio for this wonderful space and their continued generous support of Word Vancouver. I'd also like to thank the Canada Periodical Fund, the BC Arts Council, the League of Canadian Poets, the Writers' Union of Canada, the Hamber Foundation, and the BC and Yukon Book Prizes. I would also like to introduce folks to our lovely guests, Joshua Whitehead and Brandi Bird. They are coming to us virtually, and I'm very excited to have them with us, with me today. Joshua and Brandi are very important to me as queer writers in the scene, and Joshua's been a fantastic mentor, and Brandi has been fantastic kinship and company over the years. And so I'm going to let them introduce themselves, and they're going to share some readings. And then we're going to just have some jokes. We're just going to have a good time, and we're going to say some jokes. We're going to let people in on some jokes, and then we are going to have a little question and answer period. So I'll hand it off to, first and foremost, Joshua Whitehead.
Tante, Jay, Tante, hi, my friends. I'm so lovely to be here. Jay, thanks for having me. The fabulous Jay Simpson. Can we just give it up for Jay Simpson really quick? We love you, baby. Oh my goodness. Okay. Aside from playing Dead by Daylight with Jay Simpson and having a great time as the dolls do, I'm so happy to be here. My name is Joshua. I always say, call me Josh, because if you have an extra syllable, that's too much breath. I'm from Peguis First Nation in Treaty 1 territory, OG Cree, Two Spirits / Indigiqueer. And I'm just like basically working on the press of my new novel or my new nonfiction, Making Love with the Land. And I'm excited to come laugh and have some good times. So thanks for having me.
Are you going to read?
Oh, okay, yeah, we're going to All right, settle down.
I said to introduce yourself and then read. Holy.
I'm just getting real Auntie over here. Okay. So I'm gonna read to you from. I was like, Jay was like, read something humorous. I'm like, what's funny in this book? It's about pain. So I'm gonna read to you from an essay called "My Aunties Are Wolverines," which is an essay about my aunt who passed away a handful of years ago. She was paraplegic, but she had 6 kids, and so 2 of those children are with my mother and my father now. But she was wild. Like, she was my first introduction to queerness. So I really want to give this space and this place to my auntie, Terry Cameron, because a headstone is a luxury. Let me just quickly say. When I think of child me, I picture my auntie in her hometown across from me in Uthwaite, which was a housing project. The Selkirk housing place is where we sometimes called Sesame Street, because low income housing always looks like Oscar the Grouch. And I hear her guttural scream. She throws open her screen door, a plastic ladle in hand, and we watch a scrawny man running across down the block, barefoot and bare ass, his face the portrait of horror, as he's called a goddamn curse. I think, now there's terror in the making, and I smile up at my aunt from the cement where all me and my brown cousins are drawing chalk dinosaurs pretending we are in a film. We used to play this game as kids, a game we called Raptor. This being when the movie Jurassic Park was popular. We'd curve our pointer and middle finger into a sickle claw, like so, and chase each other around the neighborhood, infecting others who became our prey as raptors until only one of us survived, and we finally all got to feast. You'd, my auntie, watch us from the back window, shaking your head and laughing to yourself. Silently, it seemed to us, because we could see but not hear you in the window where you watched us kids thrive in our imagination. Later, when we'd come in for water, you would say, "The heck you kids doing anyways?" And we'd all laugh to ourselves as if only we were in on the joke. We caught you once in the living room curving your fingers into that sickle. You noticed us, then turned red face. "Sakes, mind your business, fuck," you said before busting into laughter and hissing prehistorically. You looked at your hand, which now became a claw, and chased us up the stairs with that sickle, screeching the entire way. I remember your hissing, our shrieking, and you eventually catching us and prodding our bellies with a fierce tickle that made the whole house shake with laughter. The neighbors didn't care for our noise and they banged on the walls. You went straight up to that wall and you banged back, inviting us all to join. "Hey, shut the fuck up. My kid's got a right to laugh." I think back often to us in that little house, Auntie. I animated again. My aunt tucks her long black hair behind her ears and smiles at me, that ladle waving like a drumstick, and she calls us all over because she's frying up some farmer sausage. Her home always smells sweet, as if Tang were an air freshener to mask the smell of cigarettes. She has a Madonna music video playing as on Much Music in the background. Material Girl bops with its synth beat, and Madonna lounges in an all pink, wearing a black leather romper with lace gloves underneath. She's on the phone while the camera pans to a diamond necklace laid in a bowl of popcorn. We only hear Madonna speaking on one end of the conversation, saying, "Yeah, he's still after me. He gave me a necklace. I don't know. I guess it's real diamonds. Yeah, I think he can impress me by giving me expensive gifts. It's nice though. You want it." The video then switches to Madonna in Marilyn Monroe-esque getup, wearing an all pink dress, a blonde wig, and that necklace draped around her while four men swoon around her with paper hearts. She knocks them all aside and descends the pedestal they placed upon her. Boys may come and boys may go, and that's all right, you see. Experience has made me rich, and now they're after me. Echoes through the tiny hallways of my auntie's housing project apartment. My auntie bounces in the kitchen, digging through her refrigerator, assessing her methodologies for stretching a $5 bill into a meal for seven, a practice that she has perfected. She's wearing a robe, a set of pajamas beneath her hair, and it's strung to the tiniest and tightest ponytail I have ever seen. "What is it about Madonna that interested you so much, my auntie?" Was it that she was free in all manner of sexuality, gender, and femininity? Was it that she could shatter the image of pink as meek and timid and splash across it leather and lace in all its boisterous volumes? Was it because you felt more comfortable in your masculinity than my femininity? While you scoot around that kitchen, skimming for trimmings for lunch, I watch how you move through your household. You press your feet down hard, the balls of your feet knowing to pound the ground so as to announce your presence. Your fingers are long but thick, nail beds chewed down, keratin just a sheath. We never had much money, and you had even less, but you took that blessing from Madonna, didn't you? Experience made you rich in life, taught you how to stretch a toonie into dinner, how to fend off men and summon the bears you housed, taught you how to balance the genders into a body home that knew equilibrium. You have no way of hearing this, but I want to thank you. I gravitated towards you because you knew how to plunder iconography and animate your body however you damn well saw fit. I want to say thank you for being a lesson in comfort with one's own body, with one's own gender, with one's own sex, and with one's own sexuality. Thank you, my auntie.
So much, Josh. Huge fan. Short story. The first time I met Joshua, we were at a reading together, but then we went to a now closed restaurant called Stormcrow, and they had those like Dungeons and Dragons shots. And
Yeah,
I rolled a 20, so that means we got a free one and then a cup. And so I gave Joshua the clean new cup, and then I just pocketed the dirty cup because I was like, we're forever gonna have these now. And so
yeah.
I was a little pickpocketer.
Mama, I still have that shot glass. I'll go
I
get
still have
yours.
the shot glass too. It's in my cupboard. It's a relic because Stormcrow's now gone.
Yeah,
May they rest in peace.
antique.
Thank you so much. Up next, we're gonna have Brandi Bird. Brandi Bird, I'm going to allow you to introduce yourself, and then you can share some ratings, and then we're gonna get straight into some jokes. Okay?
Okay. I'm not very funny, but that's okay. We're going to deal with it. I'm Brandi Bird. I'm Soto Cree and Métis from Manitoba Treaty 1 territory. My mom is from Peguis, and my dad is from Pine Creek and Duck Bay, that area. And yeah, I'm here to read some poems. It's funny, Josh, I think that low-income, like, housing complex you're talking about, I think that's where I grew up in Selkirk, on Mercy Street, or if it wasn't the one on Mercy Street, it was the one on Evelyn, I'm guessing. But that's like me and Josh share a hometown, Selkirk, Manitoba, and I was actually in middle school with him for 1 year, and I don't remember him though. I hope you don't remember me. So I was in grade 7. So yeah, I'm gonna read some poems. None of them very funny. The first poem I'm going to read is called Burning. It's for my brother, my little brother, who loves being written about, even though I always write like negative things or like not positive things, but he loves it. So yeah, Burning. My brother twists his hands on the grinder, a joint lit in his childhood bedroom painted blue. His green bottle eyes track the way history has moved through holes in the walls. The holes lead nowhere. They lead down, sharp and shy with knowledge like the ruddy skin of a slap fading fast. I want him to learn the difference between obligation and willingness. One tastes burnt, one tastes like burning. Learn the difference between charcoal and the wood when it hits the fire. My brother doesn't know that he is a story where there isn't an end, the spirit of an ending in the way smoke drifts from his mouth as he laughs, a tilt in the world, twin curved glass. The futures that happen in all worlds and none of them. My brother, a man but younger than myself, so new, his lips burn on weed ash and the weeds he doesn't speak to me or to anyone. He swallows them like Prozac on the days he remembers to take it. I wonder what he thinks about this poem. If he dreams about windows and sees holes in the sky, a way out or maybe a way out of time, a place I couldn't write even if I lived there. The way I can't comprehend even my own death or the possibility that I will die, like the feeling of my grandmother's hands on mine, the feeling of my hands on my brother's. I ghost through life and he phantoms. He sinks into smoke. He disappears. Let me just make sure that everything's going well. Yes. Okay. I'm tabbing to another window. So this next poem is called My Brother Aging in Reverse, again for my little brother. If prison is a country, let it break open like a clock on the hour. An escape of green eyes taken like child support, German-headed and arguing for the past. Innocence has nothing to do with it. My brother, born at the edge of summer, totters and falls. Our mother screams about paternity from the back of a pickup truck. I am not there. My brother's face is handsome and young, and he turns 18, and I am not there. The borders of his story are embellished by my voice. I am not invited. Terra nullius in this poem, a prison is a border of barbed wire and braided hair. Our sister drives him there. The prairie splits like rubber on a tire, burns in front of our low-income townhouse. The car windows crack in the cold like a wooden bat on the wall, missing my brother's head. Those people, they just wanted to protect us, but we hurt instead. We hurt and try on different clothes, new cities. My brother on his way to visit his father in prison. We don't talk about it. I don't know if he will go. I just know the sweetgrass I gave my sister, tied with orange yarn, resting on her dash for good luck. What happens when you are given what you never had? A gun in the back seat, no seatbelts, 2 a.m. drug run from Kenora. This is a story I don't remember. This is the story I'm told. My brother in the background, a baby. He ages in reverse. His lips split open on new teeth, and he looks so old. If his story is a country, I settled there. I conquered and brought back this poem. All right, so this next poem is about a terrible ex. I wanted to write a love poem, and then this came out, and it's called Everything Flesh, which is kind of a disgusting title. Everything Flesh. I eat every part of you, and then I settle in the way the skyline curves on the horizon like a tremor. Your hand on my shoulder at a bar downtown, a monument to intimacy. I want to take liberties, make something new. Your body is a discovery, a disappointment, and I'm dizzy with sugar water, the pull of a wasp's sting again and again. Frenzied, folded in the kitchen where Pyrex flowers nod and watch. They see me, see you when you kiss my mouth. I don't love you. I don't close my eyes. I love myself, and perhaps that is enough of a lie to sustain me, walking shoulder to shoulder with the sun, and then the moon, and your fucking hand always in mine. Each finger is a morsel, a thing I can suck, and I do, oh, I do. Later you come, and we eat deer meat I bought from the market because you can't hunt. Could you cleave me in half if you needed to? Butcher me like I do, flesh everything, bigger than you or me, everything flesh. Yeah, so this next poem is called Declaration. I have a chronic illness and I weave in and out through pain, so I wrote this poem. This is a statement. I was in pain and now I'm not. I forget pain and the river forgets my hands while I'm inside it. How miraculous to be ever-changing in time. A rush into absence, this river flows through a floodplain of memory, glacial and otherwise. I forget the brine of hurt. How miraculous to be water everywhere. Vapor escapes my mouth and I have lost some dimension. I've stopped losing quietly. I tongue into the river. I drink. And this is the title poem from my newest my first collection, I guess, from House of Auntie, coming out in fall 2023. I think this is the final title. I don't know. It's sort of like a mouthful. It's not a mouthful. It's like, it sounds complicated to say out loud. Like people don't understand what the title actually is. It's the All Plus Flesh, which ALL, not AWL. So I'm trying to figure out what the title will be. It's called The All Plus Flesh. Thirst, sweet morning breath. I swallow Jardiance, metformin, glyburide. A needle's hand, slow, spills wellness and reach. This die-off of cells, a call of insulin, is an argument too. Watch me argue with the past. The room where I burn sage, think good thoughts, has a hole in the roof, and I keep chasing birds out of their nests. I find chicks on the floorboards, abandoned by their mothers, no longer alive. My mother doesn't know I'm sick, but she will now. Picture the pump, the soak through the room where I come to be alone. Thirst in abundance, starvation, abundance, rebellion against witness, doctor, mother. My stomach asks for clarity. A diagnosis of yes or no, good or bad, the all plus flesh. I am made of centuries and carbohydrates. The development of my molars, the hunger the teeth grew, has been with me since childhood. I can't escape the mouths of others, the hands of others, and so I give up trying. I ate a hole in the roof of this house and in all my good dresses. I am not frugal or pious or godly. I eat and I eat until I am so sweet I gag. And this last poem is for my best friend in the world, Selena Bowen. It's after and for Selena Bowen. Her collection, Undoing Hours, is great, and it's actually in like on the bus right now in BC, which is really cool. I haven't seen it yet. I want to see it. So if you know where it is, drop me a line. It's called It Is and It Is, this poem. In a dream, there is a field where time has no hands to hold our bodies. We crawl on grass, crystallized to our skin, entering new and old phases of matter. The fast and then dull ache of bones aging back and forth in our shared time glitter like clear light over clear water. And I have no words to describe abundance beyond the absence of fear. In a dream is a dream where time is useless, rendered into a strip of scotch tape, keeping flowers pressed in an old book. The words give a new meaning under petals and the concept of preservation. Renewal is a beast we have in our hair, braided twice just to get a feel for it. Small teeth and incisors keep falling out of our mouths, always replaced old and new tools to bite at any sight of an edge to this hour. This field is fenceless and upside down and deep with black soil where we bury ash that smells like the past, like the future, ash that smells like the past. Is it medicine, the infinite, the circular, where we both make words out of the same damn world over and over again? I hope so, and I tell you that before we walk home. I tell you that before we are real again. Thank you. And thank you to Jay and Word for having me in this event. And Josh, too. Thank you for reading. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Brandi. Thank you so much, Josh. I love that we're all here together because it's like a Manitoba reunion.
And it's Treaty One in the house.
And it was so funny when I began to I was like, yeah, I'm OG Cree. And then Josh was like, I'm OG Cree. And then Brandi was like, I'm OG Cree. And it was really funny because through an ex of mine, I was actually introduced to Brandi.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, deep cut. And the ex was like, oh, I was talking to Brandi, and Brandi says they don't know you. And I was like, oh, I don't know Brandi either.
I think I was new in town too.
Yeah. So it was very funny. And then I met you shortly after, and my ex was like, do you know Brandi? They're a fantastic poet. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'll know Brandi soon enough. And then it was super interesting because then I met Joshua, and then you two were just talking. Well, very Manitoba of you two. But it's just interesting because we come from the same areas in Manitoba, and it's a very swampy supremacy.
Let me just fix myself. Okay.
One of the questions I wanted to ask you both is, even though some of your work may not be inherently laugh out loud, you touch on subject matter that is honest and very vulnerable, but then also in relationship, your ability to laugh in those same sentences is a nuance that many don't hold. Can you tell me how humor comes into your life and how you nurture it?
I mean, I guess I'll begin.
Yeah, y'all just jump. I guess I'll just tell you who to talk after this. Thanks for giving me more work.
You're welcome, Jay. I love you. I mean, at the end of the day, my book opens with an epigraph to an uncle of mine who passed, which is insane and wild. But also, I really do abide by two sentences in my book, the epigraph and the dedications, in which I say, well, to anyone who has ever touched profound pain, which is what the book is dedicated to, alongside my uncle. And at the end of the book, it says, we cannot always be writing, like we cannot always be generated by pain. I'm paraphrasing my own thing now. We cannot always be writing from hurt. And I think like we as Indigenous people know, and I read about this in Making Love with the Land, but like I think it's funny when white folks join us, or uh, non-Indigenous folks join us, I guess white folks, to Indigenous funerals. And I remember my brother-in-law once, when my auntie passed, who I read to you about, came to the funeral, and he was like, "Why are you all laughing? Like this should be a very intense moment. Like it is intense, but we would not, as a people, have survived. Since 1492, since the docking of power on these lands, colonization and heteropatriarchy and capitalism, we would not have survived. We would not be here if it was not for a joke. If it was not for a cookum being like, it's a little much." So like I think humor is a very beautiful coping mechanism. And I guess I'll just like end on this note. But like in the book, like I also write about Hellraiser. If you've ever seen the horror film, it's about like sadomasochist SDM, like kink culture and the queerness. And the main character, who's played by Clive Barker, says suffering is such a great waste of tears. And I think there's no waste of tears. It's always It's always rejuvenating. It's always healing. And I think when like it's also such a fun fusion for me to think about, like like I'm cry laughing. I think that's gorgeous. That you're upset. It's like both emotions are fusing. Like you're crying and you're laughing. And I'm like, if that is not the most Indigenous decolonial way to think, experience, and think of grief or pain or hurt or trauma, then I don't know. I just don't think we would have survived this world. So I cry laugh all the time. I try.
Thank you, Brandi.
Yeah, I think that for me, I've talked about this with you, Jay. I think like in our private conversations about how when you tell a story to the wrong audience and they take it as something that's sad, when it's actually very funny to me.
It's the funniest thing.
Yeah, like for example, you've heard this story, Jay, but like when my social worker in foster care took my swords that I found in the alley, like that is so funny to me. I have pictures of me with those swords, and she fucking took them away. Or sorry, she took them away from me, and that's like the funniest thing in the world to me. She gave them to her kids, and but when I've told that story to the wrong audience, it's always been taken like, oh, like that's sad, and I'm like, no, it's about swords. Like that's hilarious.
It's not that deep.
Yeah, it's not that deep. And I do agree with Josh that like it's a coping mechanism. But in some ways it's also just like the telling the story of our lives through humor. And
Yeah,
I think that's very valuable in and of itself. Like I think for me, poetry is more of a, like, it feels like it's I don't know, it's more difficult for me to be humorous in poetry. I haven't figured out that balance yet. Like Molly Cross Blanchard, for example, can be very funny and very profound and sad in the same line. And I haven't figured that out, how to do that yet. That's a big talent, but I will one day. And I find in nonfiction and fiction, it's a lot funner to be funny. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. One of the things that I really find very endearing is our ability to laugh in any circumstance. And sometimes it's gotten us in trouble, and we've been told to be quiet. But I think one of the situations that Canlit must now be very aware of is our ability to form community is inherently based in our ability to form language together. And some of that language is laughter. And it is something that as Indigenous people we're fluent in across nations. And when you told me that sword story, I was just howling because the same things happened to me. And it's like, I'm going to swear now because I don't like being censored, but it's like, it's fucking swords. They're cool. Like, why are you going to take them away from me? Like, who doesn't like, I love a good sword. I'm always asking who has swords. And I've seen the photo of your swords. You've posted them on social media once. Um, but one of the things that I find so interesting is that there's this prescribed seriousness to our work and our life. I was at a reading with Billy Ray Belcourt, and you were there, Brandi. And there was a line from his poem that was very funny, and I laughed, and the audience like looked at me. And then Billy Ray was like, "No, it was funny. Like that was a laughing moment, but none of you got it except for the audience, like except for the co-readers." And I think it's funny because people don't see some of the humor in Billy's writing because it's so gay and so native and so specific. But it's something that we share and we speak, and then we get feedback all the time that like they want to be in our cool circle. And it's like, tell a joke. That is the password. That's the price. Like that is what we want. So I want to ask, what have been some of your favorite moments in like literature in community involving laughter? Because I always see our heads tilted back, howling. We'll start with Brandi. Yeah.
Yeah. I think so. I went to Banff and as the writing residency there in Banff, and I met Eden Robinson as she was one of the mentors for the fiction cohort, and her laugh can make anyone laugh. And I was going through a horrendous time there. Like I got a 3 wisdom teeth infection. Like 3 of my wisdom teeth got infected. I had pneumonia at the same time, and she was just like the kindest person, and she was the only one who was like the only one of the mentors who like came to me and like commiserated with me and like gave me medicines and like really tried to help me through this with her just like laughing with me because it was ridiculous. It was a ridiculous situation. Like who gets a wisdom teeth infection and pneumonia at the same time while they're supposed to be writing like a book? And I don't know, like her laugh just like was healing in itself.
I love Eden. Eden is so good for that. Like you can hear her laugh kilometers away.
Yeah, let me just like echo Eden's laugh because like mama, that is some healing energy, right? That's a medicine right there. I think other like sometimes like when I'm upset, like I'll just like watch interviews, but like Cherie Dimaline or like Gregory Schofield, who I think have the best laughs too, alongside Eden. And okay, like I was maybe tell a sad but funny story, I hope. Brandi, you wrote a line, I forget pain and the river forgets my hand. When I was writing this book, this is the arc, Making Love with the Land, I had to continually go to the Bow River here in Mohkinstsis, or Treaty 7 Blackfoot territory, who am I guest to. And, someone told me, it's like when you put medicine down in the Bow River, it goes to Manitoba. So you can always send medicine home. And I thought that was so beautiful. And like that river held me through this whole book, which was a painful excavation. But at the end of the day, like there were so many times where I felt so joyful and so like laughing audibly with my dog, Chief, wherever he is. Sometimes he likes to burst through that door, like he thinks he's like in the Stanley Kubrick film. He thinks he's in The Shining. He's like, Jack, but he's like, Chief. But going to that river, it was like so healing. And I think the river bodies hold us and the water bodies hold us. And I think we all experienced that through COVID. When we were locked down, we would move into the natural space and we'd go for walks or, we'd go for drives or, we just like move through nature. And like, it was beautiful. And we remembered that we were never lonely. We were just always interconnected with everything. We were in a plethora of relations. And so that river held me really quickly and like very intensely. And like I really do love the Bow River here, and I really caretake for Mohkinstsis River, the Bow River. But I remember going there, and like I remember sometimes like I don't know, it's just like I'm not trying to sound romanticized, but sometimes I think like the river is so lapping, and sometimes a wave is a wave, and it would just ask me to expel. You know what I mean? And it would just like ask me to like remove myself. And so like the river held all my rage, but all my joy. And so I would laugh by myself, like very boisterously, and I would scream into the air. And it was the most steadfast thing I think I had in the lockdown periods of COVID. And I guess if I can say one quick thing, I really want us to remember what we had in the lockdown periods and remember when you were lonely and you were upset and you were sad and you felt desolated. Remember how the land held you because it did. And we all that back. And don't forget it as you move forward.
I think one of the things that I call back onto a lot over the pandemic also is our ability to stay connected with each other. And there was a period in time where I felt very lonely as an Indigenous person, navigating the world, and we all found each other via literature, art, poetry, or parties. One of the things that I found so beautiful was almost every single day we all went online and played Mario Kart together. And I remember Emily Riddle was like, "Hey, I think Brandi wants in." And and then some people were talking about it because we played it so often and we had this online space where it was just nothing but shouting and laughter and howling as we created this online space to hold us when we couldn't find each other to share this language that we had been so fluent in, which was like laughter and joking. Um, and it was some of the funniest times because it was so I'm not going to reveal all of those secrets because what stays in the Discord like stays in the Discord. But one of it was realizing that some of you have trash mouths and like to trash talk. I want
Mama, don't act brand new.
you two trash talked so much.
And I came like last every time, so
That's because you play. I don't know who you play, but I'm gonna assume like maybe like Bowser.
no, I played oh my god, the baby bones guy.
Dry bones, dry
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 bones.
bones. Oh, baby dry bones.
My friend calls dry bones skinny legend. Um,
That's Billy Ray Balcourt, isn't it?
Billy Ray Belcourt, I think always played Mario or Link. No,
Yeah.
Evan Descharm played Link. I was always Princess Peach.
Naturally.
But I wanted to ask both of you, what has been something that's brought you a lot of joy this week? We can start with Joshua.
I mean, as I'm doing like my nonfiction, like I've been very exhausted emotionally and physically, and I'm also teaching full time too. And like I think one thing that I like radically learned about this book is the power of rejection, the power of no. It's actually I think rejection is quite a gift if it's within the correct ethics. And I think like we as writers, we all know that like you can go through my submittable, you will see hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of rejections. We've all been there. So like that's more sometimes like send nudes, like send me your submittable nudes. And so like I just think like how I've been kind of like healing myself and being a better person to myself, and specifically after this book, which is all about excavation of pain and trauma and memory, is just to like remember who I am, where I come from, who my aunties are, who my cookums are, and always taking space for myself to like remember to move into a natural space. So I have a res dog. He's he's all tired. He ran around all day, and he's very healing to me. And I also like don't forget the lessons I learned in COVID, of which Jay is a big part of. In which like we would play like Mario Kart, we play this game Dead by Daylight where we had to survive, and it would just be like me and Jay and Billy and other folks who would join, and we would just be like super queer and super indigenous, and we would just joke, even if like, we're getting like, slaughtered in the game. Billy's a little, Jay's a little toxic in the game, so don't play the game.
Hold on, I'm only just a little bit. I am a bully, okay?
She is fully bully.
I'm a bully, but only to Joshua because he's a winner.
I remember the first game that we played. That you're like, okay, we're gonna teach you, and you're like, you can play the killer, or you can play survivor. Jay fully slaughtered me.
It was because you were being mean to Billy Ray, so I had to get you back. You were being so mean. Hold on, there's context here. We were playing the game, and Joshua was like playing peekaboo and teasing Billy Ray, and Billy Ray was getting frustrated. So then I took over and just absolutely decimated Joshua.
Yeah.
So that's what I did.
Jay did.
Context. You were being mean.
Jay did. But I also think that's like, isn't like that exact sentence that you said is that we can take kinships into virtual worlds, and we have to remember that the virtual world was built off of Okima Apikese's the first World Wide Web built by a spider, a trickster spider, based on connection. And like we are all experiencing that, and we've all felt it, and we all self-care through the virtual. Like we're all here tonight, and thank you for joining me. But it's important to remember, like when we can get together, to bring the joy and bring the humor and bring the laughter and like bring the high key Jay Simpson shade that Jay Simpson brings. Yeah, just remember who we are. Yeah, connection.
Thank you, Joshua. Brandi.
Yeah, I don't have something as profound as that to say. I just have to talk about like the power of obsessions, because I have a lot of obsessions, like pop culture obsessions, like the show Succession or Hannibal, for example. Like my partner's been away this weekend for the first time in I haven't been away from them since we moved in with each other. So I've just been like rewatching all of my favorite TV shows, consuming content on Twitter or Tumblr for them. And what else? Like just fully enjoying my trashed self. Yeah, I don't know. That's what's been bringing me joy. I miss my partner. I hope they come home soon.
Thank you. I'm going to ask the audience that we have if anyone has any specific questions. If not, I can wrap things up. Do we have any questions? Do we have one?
Also, like, can I just holy hell, I just gave the most roundabout answer. Brandi's
It's okay. Okay, we have a question. Yeah.
I'm actually born in Selkirk. I didn't know either of you were from Selkirk, so that's I always wondered, what it was like growing up there before my growing after. But question around, I agree humor is very healing, and I had a bumper sticker for a while that said, "Good thing laughter is the best medicine."
Can I actually give you them?
So,
can I give you the mic actually, because it's directly attached? Yeah.
Or maybe so Jay, can you paraphrase or?
I'm gonna give this person the mic so then you can hear it directly.
Okay.
Hi. Can you hear me? Okay, good. Yeah, I was just saying that I agree. Like, of course, laughter is so healing. I had a bumper sticker for a while that said, "Good thing laughter is the best medicine. It's all I can afford." So, I was, along those lines of like working through things, using humor as a coping mechanism. Do you find writing that kind of balance to that? Because sometimes people say, you use humor as an escape or a way to deflect going through that. They say the only way you can get through something is to go through it. And I'm wondering how you use your arts. Thanks you so much for sharing that today. That's beautiful. To kind of balance that with the healing aspect of humor.
Thank you so much for that. Also, this person was born in Selkirk also. So they wanted to preface that. But their question still stands. Who wants to go first? Brandi?
I can go first, yeah. For me, I think that writing is about working through things, but also like trying to figure out what I want to say so I can make that more concise and like have a purpose. Like I don't know what I'm gonna say when I sit down to start writing. I don't know what's gonna come out, and I think that's the problem with my writing for like the most part, because like I just have these like raw experiences that I want to somehow talk about, and I joke about them, and I like in my real life, and sometimes it's to the wrong audiences, but in my writing they're always quite serious. And I'm a student actually at UBC, and I worry a lot about like what I write about to like specific professors, because I've had like a decently hard life. I don't know. And what I want to write about is my decently hard life. And even if it's like coached in like, or like couched in fiction. So yeah, I don't know if it's like an escape, if humor is an escape, or if maybe like the writing is an escape, because I'm controlling the narrative in some way in both directions. And I think controlling the narrative sometimes isn't what we need. Sometimes we just need to be like truthful in our raw state. But yeah.
Thank you, Brandi. Joshua, did you want to jump in here with some more profoundness?
I guess I'll try. You know, what I think at the end of the day is the role of a storyteller, or no Tachimoak, or Tachimo, is to kind of like, okay, in the room, you know, we've all had feelings and sensations, and like, I'm sure you felt something in which you didn't know how to put words to it, but someone said it, or someone orated it, or you saw it in a film, and you thought, yes, that's exactly it. You put language to that thing I was feeling. And I think that's the role of a storyteller. And I think that's more specifically a role of an Indigenous storyteller, because of how much we have lost, is that when you put words to a thing in which you inherently unconsciously know, and you make it real, and someone can say, that's it. I think that's incredibly it. And so I think that's also like how I was talking to myself with this book, in which, you know, the book began as like small journal entries in which I'm talking about like things that I thought were so shameful and deteriorating, like body dysmorphia and eating disorders and SI, or suicidal ideation. And I thought those were so shameful. But I was always having these conversations in these rooms, in the corners of them, and I got tired of that. And so I really think the power of a storyteller and the power of story is when you put language into a thing in which someone inherently knows but couldn't wrap words around it, couldn't tongue it. And I think maybe that's just like a fault of English, but also I think it's a fault of our whole societal system in which we stigmatize mental health, and we push it into places of class and race and indigeneity and blackness, and or any intersections, and then we criminalize it. So like, yeah, I just really think I found a lot of joy, and I found a lot of healing in the materializing, like I can physically put all of my pains down. So I found that quite healing.
Thank you so much, Joshua and Brandi. I loved this. It's fun to talk about humor, but then also it be like nuanced with our very real experiences. And so I appreciate that. And I also really appreciate both of you coming to us online. That's so sweet. I took selfies with your giant faces. I'll send it to you, Brandi, but I posted the one of Joshua right away.
Just shady. I know you're
Real
Hoja Cree, because
Yeah.
you're like, I think a giant ass photo, you got a giant head.
Joshua's ego is so big, his head finally matches it. Oh my, no, I'm kidding. You do not have an ego. There are other people who have egos. You don't have an ego.
Okay, it's a roast. It's a roast now.
It's not a roast. I'm saying you don't have an ego, which is sweet.
I'm just bugging, baby.
Well, it's lovely to have you both here on this panel. Someone who I've been able to have really great and honest conversations about our shared experiences in the child welfare system, Brandi, where we've built that. And we're able to just have those conversations, but then also laugh. And then someone who has helped me a lot in my literary career and mentored me. And we worked together on Love After the End, which had a lot of humor in it, which had a lot of nuance and a lot
It
of very beautiful moments and very complicated moments. And that gets me to think about how we move through things in a really good way. So I want to thank you both so much. And I look forward to the chance where all of us Manitoba annoying, swampy OG Crees can hang out. Did you both want to say any parting words or anything, or just farewell, you know?
I want to say thank you. Thank you again. Just thanks.
Thank you.
And thank you, Brandi. Thank you, Jay. That made me feel like home. So this was very beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you, audience. This has been Auntie Laughed, So It's Funny. Thank you, Word Vancouver, for hosting us and letting us share this space. We've got some books for sale via Iron Dog Books, our official bookseller. And we've got so much more great programming today. Thank you so much. I'm Jay Simpson, and I hope to see you all around later. Have a lovely afternoon, evening, morning, wherever we are. Bye.